Winning football matches while not being at your best is what champions do. That old chestnut, that cliche that often gets bandied around Premier League title races more often than not for our rivals when they don't play well and win. It's what champions do. It's how you win Premier League title races, by winning ugly and winning when you... But when City do it, which is exactly what we did yesterday, we were nowhere near our best, but we got the job done and we won the game. I've not heard a single phrase that's along those lines, affording Manchester City the credit to win a football match, having played Champions League football midweek, when Fulham had a completely fresh week. They're playing fantastic football as well against a side that started the game 6th in the Premier League table before the game had even started. There's a reason they are where they are, and they've got 11 points from 18 before the game had kicked off. They're a very good football side, but I haven't heard much about City getting the job done, and now that's something I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. There are definitely areas of the game that need improving, but that's the standards we've set now, and it's the reason why our rivals and the red media out there, they don't want to give the credit to Manchester City, but even when they win ugly like that, they don't want to talk about it in that sort of limelight. They want to make a very negative spin on it to try and demoralise Manchester City and their fans in the process. But these are the standards that we've set at this football club now, that they nitpick. You know, they're looking to find a chink in the armour, looking for imperfections in what has been pretty much near perfection football from Manchester City for 4 or 5 years now, which is why we've won the last 4 Premier League title races, and we're now in the 5th title race, which looks like it could be a very exciting one for the neutral, at least, for Liverpool and Arsenal. That they could both take us to the wire, and it could be a 3-horse race for a big portion of this season. I do expect Arsenal to take us all the way to the wire. It's going to be an exciting title race, but the facts are, if the way we won yesterday, it could be lauded in a very different light to what it is being lauded as now, as a very fortunate win. City got away with it, very lucky yesterday. Now, there are elements of me that agree with me. I mean, the stats that are on your screen right now, there's definitely a problem in the way Manchester City are playing football lately. They've been conceding a lot of chances and goals in the process. Defence looks very, very leaky. We look incredibly susceptible to the counter-attack. And there were big portions of the game that City struggled yesterday, and I think the issue for this is that we're presenting problems and constant problems, and there is solutions out there for this. I think the January market might be the first time Manchester City have to really consider going in there aggressively to sign 1, maybe even 2 players, with the likes of Erling Haaland, who has no cover whatsoever. We all cried for the Rodri cover, we didn't get it, and now we're depending on Kovacic for the whole season, which is a risky game to play. You know, and you're talking about Nico O'Reilly, who could be the potential cover for Kovacic, and he got injured in the EDS squad as well. So, I mean, we've got problems, and we need to address them, and that's what we do. We talk about the problems, and then Pep finds the solution. Everyone else loves piling on the problems for Manchester City, and Pep's just bats them away with solution after solution. And that's what I expect him to do this season. It's going to be one of the hardest seasons for Pep, though, because he doesn't have all his tools available to him. The likes of De Bruyne, who's been injured for a big spell and looks like it's going to continue beyond the international break now. Rodri, who's out for the season as well. Nathan Ake's out, a fractured leg for arguably one of our most promising looking wingers who would have fitted right into that system yesterday. You know, we're losing the likes of Oscar Bob. It's a big blow. But these stats, they don't make for good reading in certain areas. For example, the big chances and the XG, for example, for Fulham, for 2.6, miles better XG than we've got. We massively overperformed yesterday when it came to goals versus XG. Big chances, 1 in the whole game compared to Fulham's 5, mate. Pretty alarming. But yeah, possession, again, normally we get into the 60s, don't we, normally? And it's that second half, by the way. I'm not going to give you the second half stats, but for yourself and your own research, if you're interested, go and look at the second half stats. Fulham dominated. They dominated that game, which is a concern. But we took the 3 points, and that's the narrative I'm going to run with for now. But trust me, I've got one eye on the future performances of Manchester City, because there's some problems in there. There is. Ederson, let's start with the player ratings now, giving him an 8.5, which is an extremely good score for a goalkeeper who pulled off 2 absolutely sensational saves, but 1 in the first half and 1 in the second half, with Adama Traore going through on goal. Massive moments in the game. He has conceded 2 goals. But I've been a little bit generous with the 8.5 mainly because, I mean, the goals prevented, by the way, is an interesting stat. It works out so much for what the type of shots, the likeliness of the goal scorer, the shot taker being able to score a goal. And 0.48 seems harsh to me, to be honest, but you've got to factor in the fact that he conceded 2 as well. Through no fault of his own, but the 2 saves he made were absolutely world-class, one-on-one goalkeeping. The first one was a little bit more instinctive to stick out a leg like that. The second one was just calm composure in the one-on-one. He didn't drop. He stood on his feet until the very last millisecond, and he made the save against Adama Traore. Fantastic goalkeeping from Ederson in those 2 situations, and it won us the game. Without them, we lose the game. Quite embarrassingly as well, to be honest, because of how easily Adama Traore got in on goal. But still, I've given him an 8.5, which I think is a fantastic performance for Ederson. Walker, I think everyone's already talking about that one-on-one situation. Came on for 28 minutes of football in the second half. He was there to sort of look after Rico a little bit, who was having problems on that left side of the pitch. He was outnumbered on occasions with Anthony Robinson coming down that left-hand side. But Kyle Walker came on to help him out in that situation. Everyone's going to focus in on that one-on-one, and I mean, we can't start having a go at Walker for losing his speed. Do you know what I mean? Are we going to start having a go at people for getting older? Do you know what I mean? That's a perfectly normal human being trait of ours. We all get older. It's part and parcel of it. So we can't have a go at him for not being as fast, because the same reason we can't have a go at Rico Lewis for not being as fast as Adama Traore in the one-on-one situation in the first half. No one's talking about that. Rico got done, absolutely rinsed. But because Walker used to be fast, or still is to me, but this is Adama Traore. He's a phenom of a player. When he's in the wrong sport, mate, he should just be an Olympic sprinter. But yeah, he absolutely rinsed Kyle Walker in that situation. So there's an indication there that maybe we don't hang our hat on Kyle Walker to play against Mbappe and play against Vinicius Jr. Because, I mean, if he's losing the speed battles, which is one of his strongest attributes, then maybe we need to start thinking about phasing Kyle Walker out. Certainly from big games for me, because I don't think his contribution is going to be a long-term plan we can rely on anymore, because his speed seems to have gone. So, yeah, 28 minutes of football. Other than that one-on-one situation, there wasn't much for him to do, and you can see that with the numbers, so I've given him a 6. John Stones, he's dropped below a 6 for me, because I was really disappointed with that defensive contribution. That he 12 minutes of football, and it was a big clanger for me. You probably haven't, if you've seen the second goal, you're wondering why is there so much space? Because of John Stones, mate. I mean, if you watch the ball before it's crossed into the box for Muniz to make it 3-2 to Fulham, John Stones and Muniz, they're the same distance apart until Muniz stops. But John Stones had a couple of seconds to recognise the danger. If you go back and look at the second Fulham goal, not once did he check his shoulder. You've got to do better than that. You've got to be constantly just checking your shoulder, mate, to see if he's stopped, to see if he's changed his angle of his run or anything like that. Totally switched off. And he looked surprised that the ball was cut back to him, and the gap had become so big between John Stones and Muniz that he had time to take a touch on the penalty spot. He had the time to take a touch, turn and hit it, which is, that gap shouldn't have been there. If John Stones had used his awareness and checked his shoulder just once to recognise the danger, he would have closed that gap quicker and arguably could have blocked the shot, and he didn't. And I felt like that was a real moment lapse in concentration, but he's just come onto the pitch. He hadn't got on up to the speed of the game yet, because Fulham were playing at a decent tempo as well at that point. 12 minutes of football, yeah, it was a shame to see, but I still feel like this guy should be getting closer to our starting 11 for big games than he has been, because I feel like his contribution is, we haven't seen it yet this season, but I feel like he needs to start playing in that midfield to help prevent these counter-attack situations, sitting alongside Kovacic for me. Akanji, giving him a 6.5. Reasonably good. I've heard people have a go at him for their first goal. Like, where was the marking? Like, mate, that cross from Raul Jimenez was absolutely sensational. There's not a person on the planet who was expecting Raul Jimenez to cross the ball on the volley, or on the half volley at least, with a back heel and get it on the money. The only way Akanji's stopping that is by handballing it. Do you know what I mean? Because it was at an awkward height. Couldn't really head it. Couldn't really get in the way of it. It was such a unique spur-of-the-moment cross from Raul Jimenez. Akanji couldn't do anything about that. Get over it, man. That's bollocks. But yeah, outside of that, his contribution was okay. He started to look tired in the second half, though, and you can see that with the minutes there. Playing an hour of football, came off with half an hour to go, because a lot of the problems were coming down that left side where Rico and Akanji were together at times, and neither of them were having that much success in stopping crosses coming into the box, which is why Kyle Walker came on when he did. I mean, Walker did okay, but I mean, Akanji prior to that was okay himself. Nothing terrible to speak about. Numbers are reasonable as well. But yeah, I think there was an okay performance there for Akanji, 6.5. Josko. He's bloody brilliant. I absolutely love this guy. I absolutely love him. 120 touches as well. I mean, shows how much we are depending on this guy. He's becoming the glue between our transitions from defence into attack. His vision is fantastic. His eye for a goal is starting to be feared by oppositions. They're seeing him as a goal threat now, which is a unique trait to have as a defender. His ball retention's fantastic. The 2 block shots you can see there, one of them was absolutely sensational in the second half. With Raul Jimenez, you're thinking this is 2-2. It's going to be 2-2 this, and that ball just trickled across the face of goal. It's like it's going kindly to Raul Jimenez, who shot, stabs it towards the goal, but Josko, mate, just threw himself in front of that ball, blocked it brilliantly. That gives him a bump up in his score alone, just for that contribution right there. He was fantastic. 4 clearances as well, really good numbers. Brilliant player he is, isn't he? Absolutely sensational. 7.5 for Josko. Ruben, he gets a 7. I thought his passing was fantastic. As I said that yesterday, having not known what his passing accuracy actually was. It was 99%. Really good. And they were brave passes. I'm not talking sideways passes like, oh, mate, 5-yard passes. Go back and watch that first half of Ruben Diaz. He was breaking the lines. 4 or 5 occasions were brilliant passes. Getting Foden in a pocket, Rico in a pocket, Gundogan in a pocket. All from Ruben Diaz, and that's not really his game. He does tend to play it safe, and I want him to play it safe, but he saw the pass, he went for it, and it was brave distribution from Ruben Diaz, and it always came off yesterday. I thought he had a really good first half on the ball, and his numbers are pretty good as well, 4 clearances, 2 aerial duels, he won both, blocked 2 shots as well. Just quieting down a little bit in the second half. He lost a couple of battles with Raul Jimenez. The ground duels you can see there, those 2 ground duels with Raul Jimenez, he lost them both. But yeah, no, I've still thought he had a reasonably good game, Ruben Diaz, even though we conceded 2 goals. I don't think any of them were his fault in those situations, but he gets a 7 out of 10. Rico, he gets a 7 as well, which is a lot of that's for the assist. That, again, is it really an assist? It was a simple pass to Doku. No one's really remembering Doku's goal for the Rico assist, are they? Do you know what I mean? It was a little 5-yard pass where where Doku was in acres of space and Doku did the rest of the work. But facts are facts, he got an assist, so I've got to respect that. I thought positionally he was struggling, and it's a harsh game that he's being asked to play, to drop into right back when we don't have the ball and push into midfield, and Pep asks a lot of him. But his numbers were reasonably good there. 3 tackles, an interception. That interception as well, another moment that gets his score up another level for me, because that interception was in like the 94th minute when we were under pressure. They were about to have their last attack of the game coming down the left-hand side. I remember it very, very well. A beautiful interception, steps in and drives forward, looking for that corner flag to sort of kill the clock, waste a bit of time. Legally, Arsenal, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, wins a free kick and wins City the game with that little contribution at the end of the game there that just sees out the rest of the game. And I thought, outside of the 2 very important moments, gets himself an assist and that interception, I felt like he did struggle a little bit, to be honest, but I feel like Pep needs to take a little bit of responsibility there. Asking this lad to do the job that he's asking him to do, it's so difficult to do, and it's why I still have to pay a lot of respect to Rico Lewis for the job that he's been doing this season. Gundogan, he's getting more and more like the question mark is getting bigger. Do you know what I mean? The uncertainty around his contribution to this side so far. You're expecting him to kick on later into the season. That's what I'm hoping for. But so far, it's been quite an underwhelming return to Manchester City for Gundogan. I'm not going to mince my words here and be brutally honest with you. I feel like he's not hit the heights yet we expect of Gundogan. The excitement around his return has the bubble's been popped a little bit, to be honest. There's a big chance missed there, which was in the first half. I remember it was off target, a little volley on the edge of the box. Should be hitting the target there. But his overall contribution is just, that crosses again. That's the same as last week. 6 crosses, most of those are corners. In fact, I think they might all be corners, in fact. One of their counter-attacks came from a Gundogan corner. The Adama Traore, Rico Lewis one-on-one where Ederson saved it, that came from a Gundogan corner. It's just, I don't feel like he's ever been that good at corners. Like, he doesn't whip them, he loops them in, he gets a lot of air on them, and they're easy to defend when you've got the likes of Anderson and Bassi and Leno, who's reasonably good in the air as a goalkeeper as well, who catches the ball and sends Fulham on a counter-attack the other way. I don't want to be criticising him just for corner-taking ability, but, I mean, his overall contribution is just a bit like, where is it? You know what I mean? It's non-existent at the minute, and we're looking at him for creativity in the middle of the park. Him and Phil Foden together yesterday were a little bit lacklustre in creativity. And I want to see more from Gundogan now. I think the time is now to kick on and see more from Ilkay Gundogan. So he gets a 6 out of 10. But he was all right overall. And for me, you know who the man of the match is, really. I think we all know who man of the match is. It's pretty simple for me to pick man of the match, in truth. Adama Traore. I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. 11 out of 10 for Adama Traore for his absolutely fantastic contribution to the Manchester City cause. 77% passing accuracy, nice and loose with that ball. Not very good ball retention there, which is good. Big chances missed, 3. Superb. Absolutely superb. From Adama Traore, fantastic contribution. Expected goals, I mean, pretty much more than half of Fulham's total XG fell on this man. So, you got to give it to Adama Traore, man. The guy turned up. Conversations with Pep Guardiola at the end of the game, you can see that there. A beautiful conversation he had with Pep. No doubt it was like, Pep's like, mate, thank you so much. What a fantastic contribution. Three massive chances as well. You know, you should have made it 1-0, you didn't. You should have made it 2-0, you didn't. Should have made it 2-2, you didn't. That's just superb. It's just superb. One dribble, and you didn't complete it. It's brilliant from Adama Traore. 11 out of 10, absolutely fantastic. Right, now onto the real man of the match. It's Mateo Kovacic for me. 8.5 for him. Same score as Ederson, but I've given it him because, just that little, it's difficult as a goalkeeper to get man of the match. When there's a player in the outfield positions who scored 2 goals in a 3-2 game. So I have given it Kovacic a little bit generous with the 8.5, to be honest, because the 2 goals are what stood out for me, and they were fantastic. Well, the second goal was really well taken. Lovely little touch to get it past, I can't remember who was closing him down after the assist from Bernardo Silva. I thought like he whipped it into that bottom corner. Really fantastic goal from Kovacic. First goal, was a little bit fortunate. The assist, the deflection was that gave City the opportunity to get back into the game to make it 1-1. I still feel like he needs to do a little bit more defensive-minded work. Positional awareness. The counter press is something that I've always been a big fan of Rodri. And what he delivers to stop sides getting out. When we lose the ball on the edge of their box, we get it back so quickly because Rodri just like hounds them, gets in their face, and the big physical presence of Rodri takes it off them. So that's gone now. We've got no Rodri for the rest of the season, so we need to find a solution to stopping these sides hitting us so easily on the counter-attack. And I do feel like Kovacic is going to have to step up his game positionally, defensively, and getting into those little pockets around the edge of the area to hit them with the counter-press a little bit easier. But there's no denying the 2 goals. The ground jewels, by the way, again, physicality is not his strong point. 2 dribbles, one of which was successful. But the 2 goals are what stands out, really, and again, wins us the game. So 8.5 for Kovacic. Well played, mate. He's having a really good season for Manchester City. Phil Foden, giving him a 6.5. He's in the same boat as Gundogan for me. He needs to step it up. I think it's time now. We need to see a bit more from Phil Foden. His numbers aren't terrible, by the way. 3 key passes is a very good contribution. 2 shots, none on target. 2 dribble attempts, didn't complete them. But the 3 crosses, by the way, that's I'm becoming a bit of a stickler for crosses because I'm getting frustrated at how many we waste from crossing situations. But 3 out of 3 is bang on the money there from Phil Foden. One of them was whipped to that back post for Bernardo Silva to bring down on his chest and lay it off for Kovacic to make it 2-1 Manchester City. That's a vital contribution from Phil Foden there. Other than that, it was a quiet game for him again, and we keep saying that. quiet, anonymous. We need to see more. Grab the game by the scruff of the neck, Phil, and let's get some headlines around Phil Foden again. Get his confidence up because he needs to do better. But we need him, especially in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. We really do. So 6.5 for Phil Foden. Grealish, yeah, he didn't have a great game. I thought he was a bit quiet. 36 touches as well for an hour of football is pretty low for Jack Grealish. Normally sees a lot more of the ball, normally retains the ball a lot better than that as well. A key pass, 3 dribbles, 2 were successful. Half of his crosses, of which only 2 were attempted, were completed. Won most of his ground duels, but it was just again, a little bit anonymous. A couple of sloppy passes as well in the first half that gave Fulham an opportunity to come the other way. I was a bit disappointed in Jack Grealish's performance in this game. So he gets a 6. Bernardo Silva, I stuck the knife in him yesterday, so his numbers are brilliant, it just goes to show that you watch a game of football with a little bit of tunnel vision, with the certainty that I wanted to see Savinho on that right side, not Bernardo Silva. His numbers are much better than I thought they would be, so I'll hold my hands up and say, yeah, he had a better game than I gave him credit for, but I still feel like he's wasted on that right wing. I'm certainly not going to change my opinion on the position he played. Yesterday was just wrong. I don't agree with it at all. Do you remember Bernardo Silva attempting 7 dribbles? I don't remember that at all. What game was I watching? Unbelievable. The numbers are actually very, very good for Bernardo Silva. He also got himself an assist as well, so that's going to help you score. But I still don't feel like he was anywhere near his best yesterday. I felt like he was wasted on that right wing. I want to see him come inside a little bit more. I'd rather see him take the position of Gundogan, in truth, and playing in that pocket that I feel like putting numbers like that in a more dangerous part of the pitch. Arguably he might not get those numbers if he was in that part of the pitch. Certainly not the dribbles, at least. But the key passes, you start finding little channels like that for Erling Haaland rather than waiting for the underlap of Rico Lewis, which majority of those key passes will have been an underlap from Rico Lewis getting to the byline, or from Kovacic, or whoever it may be, a cute little pass from Bernardo Silva. He's capable of that, and those cute passes are more dangerous when you're central. So I want to see him tucked inside, I really do, and I think his game yesterday was better than I gave him credit for, so I've got to hold my hands up and say, yeah, he played better than I said, and I've given him a 7 as a result of that, but I still feel like I want to see a bit more from Bernardo Silva going forward. Doku gets a 7.5 for the 28 minutes of football that has won the game. Passing accuracy needs to be better than that, mate. That's poor. 4 dribble attempts, of which only 1 was completed. I remember the one, it was in our own half, and it was bloody brilliant, but the goal that he scored, the tenacity that he came onto the pitch with, and he did grab the game by the scruff of the neck and said, I'm winning this game, with an absolute thunderbolt into that top corner. The swaz that he put on it, it was venomous, mate. It was like the venom on that shot was just lethal. It was past Leno before he could even blink. Brilliant, brilliant goal from Jeremy Doku. So yeah, kick on now, mate. Now it's the time to go further. Take your game to the next level. Consistency now is what we want to see from Jeremy Doku. And I'll point the finger at Pep for that. Because you don't play him every week. How's he going to get consistency? How's he going to build on his form if he's not playing next week? He keeps giving certain players seem to have bad games, and they're trusted for next week. The second he has a bad game and he's dropped, give him more time. Play more often, Jeremy Doku, because I feel like if he got a run of games where he knows he's the winger for 6 games in a row, I feel like he could do some serious damage to oppositions. Same applied to Savinho as well. Grealish, I would like to see him inside a little bit more as well. We've got creativity that we're putting out wide. I feel like Jack Grealish and Bernardo Silva inside would be a bigger threat than certainly than Gundogan has been lately. Phil Foden, you feel like he's on the cusp of doing something good in a City shirt. I feel like he's a game or 2 away from getting himself a couple of goals and an assist. Is Phil Foden, but Jeremy Doku for me is starting to demand a starting 11 spot now with his performances. Bratislava, brilliant. Watford first half, brilliant. 2 teams that you think, yeah, okay, you should be doing that against that level of opposition. Yesterday was against a Fulham side that was firing well, playing good football, 6th in the Premier League, playing good football, and he comes on and wins the game. So there's 3 good performances in a row there from Jeremy Doku now, so play him. Play him more often. Let's see the best of Jeremy Doku. 7.5 for the 28 minutes of football he played. Finally, Erling Haaland gets a 6.5, 90 minutes of football. anonymous. It's one of those games that, if he doesn't score, it's like, what did he do? And I mean, he didn't do too. He got 2 key passes, ball retention. Again, passing accuracy is never that good for Erling Haaland. Ground duels, didn't win as many as he should be doing there. Aerial duels, didn't win any. Yeah, but if he gets a goal, we talk about a different performance for Erling Haaland. That's his job, and he's always going to be rated on that. If he doesn't score, his score's never going to be that high. If he scores, it's going to be high, because that's his job. And he comes onto the pitch to score goals, and when he does, we all love him. And when he doesn't, you hear people calling for him to be dropped, and it doesn't work like that. No player on this planet can score every game. So there are going to be games where Erling Haaland just has to occupy the defenders and keep the likes of Anderson and Bassi busy. And he did that yesterday. But yeah, still anonymous. You can look at the rest of the team for that as well, not just Haaland. Can they get the ball in a bit more accurately? Crosses, can they find him? I thought he was quite generous in giving Bernardo Silva the ball at one point in the second half. He had an opportunity to shoot. One of the few opportunities for Haaland to shoot. He had 4 shots, 2 on target. One of them, he should have 5, really, for me, shots at least, because he had it on his right foot and he chose to pass it to Bernardo Silva, whose effort was tame, and just passes it back to Leno rather than getting his laces behind it. I felt like Haaland should have shot in that situation, and I don't think Haaland will be passing it to Bernardo Silva next time. I think he'll be having a shot, mate. And with good reason. Best finisher on the planet. But 3 points is all that matters, really. And as much as I really wanted to see a convincing performance, we did not get it. I was not convinced by City's performance yesterday at all. But the headlines that you typically see are, that's what champions do. So I'm going to run with that. Let the rivals nitpick at the lack of quality in Manchester City's performance, the defensive frailties that we showed. And you're just hoping Pep finds solutions. And in the meantime, we keep winning games while we're in the search for our solution. We're in a title race that we could well win again. If Pep Guardiola gets this side within touching distance of whoever is first this season, if we are within 3-4 points of first place with 10-15 games to go, you know full well that we could kick into gear and go and win our 5th Premier League title in the row. But what do you think of the game yesterday? Were there too many frailties? Am I ignoring too many problems? Am I being too positive? Am I not being positive enough? Get your comments in below. I want to hear them. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is